invite His Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Sadam Davati, to say something and welcome you, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I will not be a middleman. Middlemen tend to have a very awkward tag in business. And since we want to establish very strong direct links with Kenya, I will hand over immediately to the President so that I do not be misconstrued as a middleman in this engagement. Your Excellency, please proceed.
Thank you very much. Middlemen are sometimes called brokers. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, captains of industry, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And thank you very much for finding time to share these moments with us. Belgium was one of the first European nations to recognize Kenya's sovereignty in 1963. 6 decades on, we meet to reimagine something larger than a bilateral relationship, the partnership between Kenya, Africa, and Europe. For too long, this relationship has rested on a misunderstanding. Africa has been seen as a problem to be managed. It is not, and it has never been. Africa is an opportunity to be harnessed. Africa is not part of the problem the world is trying to solve. On the defining challenges of our time, whether you look at food, you talk about energy, climate, or demography, Africa is in fact the larger part of the solution. Consider what the continent holds. Abundant resources, natural resources, vast clean energy potential, 2/3 of the world's remaining arable land, and the youngest population on Earth, which is both a workforce and a market. In my opinion, the world cannot feed itself, now or going into the future, without Africa's land, nor can it power its future sustainably without Africa's vast renewable energy resources, or grow or develop without Africa's workforce and market. So the relationship that we propose today to our European colleagues is not built on dependency, but it is built on mutual and sovereign equality. It is not built on aid or assistance, but it is built on mutually beneficial partnerships. And it is not built on extraction. It is not built on extraction, but it is built on investments that benefit everyone. And so we need to recalibrate the discussion that we are having. And we need to look at what are the opportunities that are there for us. We've had challenges of, access to development resources that are concessional, very heightened interest rates for capital that is required for our progress, and of course, on sovereign risk that sometimes does not represent the reality on the ground. And the longer this goes on, the longer everybody loses. And that is why this meeting is very important. Now, as I have told you, Africa is an opportunity, and Kenya is the gateway. If you establish in Kenya, you do not just enter into one country. You enter into a continent. Through the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, you invest and you enter into a market of 1.4 billion people with a GDP of $3.4 trillion. If you add EAC and COMESA, the European Union, and the United Kingdom, and Kenya's combined preferential market access exceeds $70 trillion. Why do I say so? If you set up in Kenya, you not only access the African market, but because we have a signed economic partnership agreement with Europe, you equally access the European market. So there are opportunities left and right, front and center. And Kenya offers the rarest thing of all: secured permanent access to Europe under the European Economic Partnership Agreement in force since July 2024. And by the way, Kenya is the only East African Community member that have ratified it, and therefore every Kenyan product enters the European market duty-free and quota-free. That is the kind of certainty an investor needs to build a factory. And Belgium, home to the European institutions and the port of Antwerp, Brussels, is the door through which you reach the European market. And for your information, Kenya is ready for this role. Our economy is a 147 billion economy, the largest in East Africa. In 2025, foreign direct investments surpassed the $3 billion for the first time. The Nairobi Securities Exchange delivered one of Africa's strongest returns last year and remains fully open to foreign investors with unrestricted repatriation of capital and profits. We have structured roughly $40 billion of infrastructure for public-private partnerships. We also now have a one-stop investment center that is operational. Permits will be fully digitized by the end of this year. Exported services are zero-rated for VAT, and restrictive local equity requirements have already been removed. Of course, as you are aware, we are a very young, connected nation, 55 million people, a median age of 20. 85% of adults are financially included. Mobile money flows above $300 billion a year, and fiber optic connectivity to every county in Kenya. The strongest endorsement of Kenya is not what government says. It is what investors do. Bio, as you've heard, has invested in Kenya for over 25 years and counts Kenya among its largest exposures. Odo, again, chose Nairobi as its African headquarters. Ruto serves East Africa from Kenyan plant. Sirona built its first commercial-scale direct air capture site at Lake Elementaita. Close the Gap has opened a circular IT hub in Nairobi. The direction of travel is very clear to all of us. Which way? Yet trade between Kenya and Belgium remains modest. And when I say Belgium, I mean with the European Union. About $335 million in 2024. That does not reflect our potential. So let us set a clear ambition to triple it towards $1 billion by 2030. That's just in 2 years. Because the opportunities are many, but let me expound on 4. First, agribusiness and agro-processing, because Kenya grows around 40% of Europe's cut flowers, is the world's largest exporter of black tea and a leading avocado exporter. The next phase for the people sitting around this table is value addition. Avocado, macadamia, horticulture, processed foods. I propose a Nairobi-Antwerp green produce corridor, a seamless cold chain from Kenyan farms to European shelves. Second is ports, logistics, and cold chain. The Port of Mombasa handled record volumes in 2025. I invite the Port of Antwerp and Belgium New Fruits Wharf to form a sister port partnership with Kenya Ports Authority on river handling and pre-cooling to cut post-harvest losses and raise competitiveness. Third, technology and digital economy. With Belgium's world-leading semiconductor ecosystem and our young digitally native talent, we can build a Consa-Leuven silicon bridge for chip design skills. Odo launched its newest global platform from Nairobi, proof that world-class software is built in Kenya. We welcome partnerships in cloud, AI, and cybersecurity. Fourth, clean energy and the circular economy. More than 90% of Kenya's electricity is renewable, with geothermal alone accounting for almost 40%. I propose an Elementaita carbon removal cluster, scaling carbon removal on clean geothermal power, and we welcome Belgium leaders in recycling and urban mining to build a circular economy that creates jobs and creates opportunities. And here is the decisive advantage, the proof of everything I have said about partnership over extraction. Europe's carbon border adjustment mechanism is reshaping global manufacturing. A product made in Kenya on our clean geothermal grid enters Europe with a lower carbon cost and duty-free under our agreement. Few places on earth offer both at once. So I say to Belgian manufacturers, do not buy Africa's raw materials to add value elsewhere. Come and build with us. Process Kenyan minerals in Kenya and Africa on clean power and help Europe secure the supply chains it needs. Make it in Kenya, make it in Africa, make it clean, and sell in Europe and to the world. This is why, on the back of this roundtable, I will shortly officiate the launch of the Kenya Benelux Chamber of Commerce, a permanent bridge between Kenyan enterprise and the markets, investors, and innovators of Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. I challenge everyone in this room and every firm that will join the chamber to 2 goals: double the number of Benelux companies operating in Kenya and help deliver that $1 billion in trade by 2030. Let me conclude where I began. Africa is not a problem to be managed. It is an opportunity of this century. Kenya is your gateway to that opportunity, and this chamber is the door. Let us walk through it together partners and equals, building value that benefits everyone. I thank you for your attention and open the floor to deliberations.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for those wonderful remarks and for welcoming everybody for a short interactive session. With your permission, Your Excellency, I will ask a few of the chairman ladies who are here to say one or two words, then we can go to the general interaction. I will start, and please forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Sometimes we have that problem. We start with Rudy. Rudy is from the Belgium Family Office and Investment Networks. Then we'll go to Christophe from TechSef. Then we'll go to Torav.
I'm a Belgian board director of some families in Belgium, Mr. President. And I'm a financial expert. Okay. So I worked many years for, and I know it's not so polite, it's even better to be a lawyer, but I'm a banker. Sorry for that. I was a banker, which is not always the best motivation to have in this time. And I like your words as broker and intermediate and the gateway. So I would like to be one of them in the future. My families are very rich and they are not so familiar with your country so far. So therefore I'm so pleased that I may here to know my colleagues, investors, and to develop some relationships to invest in the future in your country as well. I think we have a lot of expertise in the areas that you mentioned, that we can help to collaborate together in the future and to learn about these countries. We are active in the country, Africa, but only in Senegal at the moment, and also in Lagos and some other development countries. So Kenya is more the east side, I'm more on the west side. So this was fantastic that Olivier asked me to be here and that I could represent my families, which are very well known in Belgium, to develop in future, and that I can advise them in the future to invest in Kenya as well. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Christophe?
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your welcoming words to Kenya. TechSaf is the only listed company in Belgium that is 100% devoted to Africa. For now 101 years, we have been one of the main investors in the DRC, where we have moved from textile to real estate to now digital, where also in collaboration with Close the Gap, we have built the largest digital hub in Central Africa and the first international standards data center in DRC, in partnership with a Nairobi-based company, being WIOC. We have had up to now tangential interest with Kenya. We have had investments with private Kenyan investors. In the past, we have this partnership with WIOC, which is a very important one for the development of DRC. We are daily banking with Equity and KCB. And as we are, as the door is closed, I can say that on June the 17th, I'm presenting to my board of directors a proposal for a first investment in Nairobi of a few tens of millions of dollars.
Thank you very much. Torav?
Thank you very much for please, good luck with your presentation.
We build our machines here today, but we go to the best places in the world to run our machines. And we need two things. We need renewable energy, but we also need CO2 storage potential. And actually, Kenya is one of the best places in the world to do so because of the massive renewable energy that you have, but also because of the Rift Valley, which has this thick basalt geology. We are the company who has the site next to Lake Elementaita at Sleeping Warrior Mountain. And actually, we're not the only ones. There's also a Kenyan company called Octavia Carbon that is also developing there. And we're very excited to be there. That's the first site that we have. We're already discussing with GDC of an expansion that would be in Menengai, so in the same region. And I'd like to thank actually PS Investment, Abu Bakar, who's been very helpful in creating those connections. We're actually expecting to sign an MOU with GDC today, which is very exciting for us. And I think overall, it's also a great opportunity for Kenya. As we mentioned, we need a lot of renewable energy, and today we will be able to plug into the existing resources, providing more revenues to GDC by consuming their brine on top of the steam that they already sell for geothermal energy. But overall, as we look to expand, we expect to be building more renewable energy in Kenya, which is great not only for us, but also great for universal access to energy to small businesses in communities all over Kenya. So I think it's a great opportunity, as you mentioned, where we can mutually benefit, us from the natural endowments of Kenya, and then at the same time, Kenya from the demand and industrial development.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Doug?
Is the mic? Somebody?
Yes.
Business. And we have been doing it all over the world and especially in Africa. But Kappa Oil must be, Kappa Oil?
Yes.
Familiar with that? Okay, that's one of our customers. Anyway, that shows that we are now very much interested to help and see how we can, your number 4 priority, clean energy in the country, how we can take this opportunity together. So we strongly believe in that. We have also good connections with Hydrobox. Hydrobox is on smaller scale the rural electrification based on hydropower that we will combine also with biomass in the future and other solar energy to make it smart grids. That's actually the essence of our dream in Kenya. So, and we strongly believe in that because we love Africa, and we learned also in Kenya, Hakuna Matata.
Thank you very much. Jolie Stote.
Very much.
Over 25 years, we've built an investment portfolio of now almost 100 million euros in your country, and I was very happy to hear your priorities. Agri-value business. We are invested in Limbua, export of macadamia nuts. Those who know Kenya very well know Dairyland. Dairyland is produced by Glacier. Glacier is one of our investments. So, and when you talk about value addition of natural products, in this case dairy farming, that's a very important one.
Those who know energy and telecoms, POA Internet is one of our investments in Kenya, which you probably know very well. And then one of your policy priorities, clean cooking, burn cook stoves, is also one of our investments. So I fully support what you said about Africa being an opportunity and an opportunity of mutual beneficial partnerships. We invest directly in Kenyan businesses. We invest indirectly through funds, but also we travel with and we work together with a lot of CEOs that are here around the table, with Belgian companies. There's a lot of partners that we work with. We're currently working with Sirona, we're working with Vinke, we're working with Puratos and others to share that ambition. So let's try indeed to double investments in Kenya, in Kenyan businesses, and in joint ventureships between Belgian and Kenyan companies. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much for all that you're doing. In fact, just for your information, your staff, your people were in my farm this morning. We want to. There is already an agreement for us to sell milk to your organization. So I hope we conclude that. We can have a side chat later. Okay, let's proceed.
Thank you, Excellency. And then we'll have Steve Pope, and then we'll conclude this session with Mario. Then, Your Excellency, with your permission, maybe you can say something regarding what they have spoken. Then we can go to the next group, sir. Thank you.
So, good morning, Your Excellency. I had the pleasure and privilege of meeting you a few years ago in Mombasa when I was Group Head of Trade at DHL. We were looking at value addition in tea. That's still going, and I've heard we moved into coffee. So, we've been working together with CS Kagwe on an industrialization program for Kenya's agriculture value addition. So we're starting with tea, coffee, avocados. Tea, coffee is value addition, packaging, branding, exports with the issues with the Middle East, etc., helping find other markets. Avocados, in other words, we're looking at cold chain supply. And I've been talking to a number of people here, which is interesting. So what we've got is we're starting with a $250 million blended finance program. It's zero sovereign debt. We heard from CS Kagwe's office they want this, Kenya would like this as, as a flagship for the World Bank's AgriConnect program. So we've already notified the World Bank of that intention as well. We're building a consortium already. We have African banks, Kenyan banks involved as well, a number of experts inside Kenya. The other element that you raised as well, which was really important, I remember you saying at the time in Mombasa, I want 60% of tea to be value addition. So this is an area that we're really, really focused on. It's specifically targeted at employment. So we're looking at between 20 and 30,000 direct jobs, 20,000 on top. We're looking at between 180 and $250 million in terms of additional revenue by 2031. So it's a long way towards your billion dollars. So that's where we are now. We're hoping to be in Nairobi in the next few weeks. We have a number of people waiting to see us. We're just waiting on the confirmation from CS Kagwe and his office. But I know that, so that's where we are so far. So thank you for the opportunity, and we're really excited about this. And for those investors out there looking for an opportunity, this is a really golden opportunity. And I remembered our discussion we had last time. This fits exactly with your priorities. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mario?
Yes, please. PCS.
Partnership with Kenyan Ports Authority. I hope you still also remember your visit 4 years ago to the Port of Antwerp.
Okay, yes,
and
I came to the Port of Antwerp.
Yes,
right?
Yes, and in the meanwhile we have had your the chairman of the Kenyan Ports Authority at our port, and also your namesake, Captain William Ruto, who is the CEO of KPA. Yes. Some things that resonate. What you said is that for us, Africa is indeed trade and not aid. And the volumes between Port of Antwerp and Bruges have been for decades more important between Africa than between the Far East. So that is definitely one thing. And then on the mutual and sovereign equality, in every partnership that we develop with African counterparts, that is essential. How can we build bridges between our two ports and strengthen each other and create together, co-create, co-develop port platforms that are attractive for private investments, that create level playing fields, that offer opportunities that will hopefully contribute to your sharp and aggressive KPIs of by 2030. But just to say, we are actively investing in Africa as well, in port infrastructure, in port superstructure, to realize these objectives. For instance, in Namibia, we are co-developing a port platform for Namibia's green industrialization. That's something you also mentioned, and we're open for that conversation with your government, with the counterparts. The relationships are already there, and looking forward to strengthen and deepen those relationships. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Between us. As I have said, the trade between Europe and Kenya is $335 million. We can take that to $1 billion in a very short time. And we should. And the building blocks for us to achieve that are already in place. There are companies already with a footprint in Nairobi. There are companies that already have experience, and it's not what I am saying, it is what Bio is saying, it is what Oro is saying, and the next company, their personal experience in Nairobi gives credibility to what I'm saying. And as I said earlier, the bigger picture is this. When you look at Nairobi or when you look at Kenya, you are not looking at a country. You are looking at a gateway to a continent. And you will have Kenya and the African continent as your market, but you will also secure your place in Europe using our economic partnership agreement. So it benefits your companies both ways. Into the African market, 1.4 billion people. Into the European market, 450 million people. That combined market is big enough to justify anybody to invest. This is underpinned by three fundamental things. We are a robust democracy. Therefore, we share values with Europe of democracy, rule of law. Number two, we have the economic partnership agreement that does two things. Number one, gives you legal certainty and also regulatory stability. You are sure that that is what your business will be because we already have a solid agreement between Kenya and Europe. And then on the other end, we have also signed the East African Community Treaty. We have the COMESA Treaty. We have the Tripartite Treaty. And we have the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Treaty. That also secures your market into the African continent. And then fourthly, we have a financial ecosystem that has the capacity to assist you in doing your business. You've just heard that even the people in the DRC are using Kenyan banks because we have a very well-developed financial ecosystem. And even more, we have a working, in fact, the Nairobi Securities Exchange was the best securities exchange in Africa by way of return. Just look at the numbers. And that guarantees you two things. Number one, it guarantees you that you can repatriate your profits, and also that you can exit anytime you wish. So that gives you flexibility on how you can access the capital markets. So again, so that gives us certainty every way that is possible. This morning I was having a conversation with our colleagues at the EU Commission to again fine-tune some of the areas that require fine-tuning. We want to expand the Economic Partnership Agreement to include all the East African countries, and we want to see how we can enhance especially the areas of the digital space. Kenya is the first African country that we are working on digital adequacy. We intend to conclude this by early next year so that all the process outsourcing companies can have direct access to Europe as they have access to the African continent. So again, these are business opportunities that can be exploited for the mutual benefit of Kenyan business people and European business people. And that is why it is important for us to create this understanding so that you know that you are walking into a space that is secure, into a space that understands what business is, and into an area where there is lived experience by European companies working out of Kenya, and they can give you their personal experience of what they have experienced in our country. And so, again, I want to welcome as many of you as possible to either expand the opportunities that you have in Kenya or to set up new opportunities and new investments in Kenya as you look at the wider market that we represent.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Before we go to the next group of speakers, because we still have a bit of time, Your Excellency, allow me with a lot of humility to thank our contact person in Belgium, Baron Olivier, who, Your Excellency, it may interest you that worked with us very closely with the Office of His Majesty King in getting the list of this distinguished gentleman.
Thank you very much.
Allow me, Your Excellency, to thank our CEO of Kenya Invest for working with us, and also people from the mission, the Deputy Head of Mission, Daniel Tanui, Dr. Kaibi, Agracio Atache, and Officers Irene and Mukata, because without them, Your Excellency, we would not be having this speech. I want to thank them very sincerely for the commitment. Now, allow me again, Your Excellency. Oh, and my sister. Yes.
From KEPSA.
Carlo from KEPSA. Thank you for your continuous support. We look forward to working with you again and again. Allow me now to get another 5 maybe speakers, and I will start with Carol.
Government. I need to also say something about the private sector. The local private sector is looking forward to, for those who are not in Kenya yet, partner with the local private sector, the enterprises. And what they are looking to is joint ventures, co-invest. I think the president really affirmed that we no longer are pushing raw materials out. we are looking into finishing our products, and that whatever we consume is already produced and manufactured in the country. And we also, the private sector in Kenya is looking to go beyond the borders. We are looking to internationalize, beginning with the region and progressing into the continent and to Europe. And we cannot do that alone. We'd like to work very closely with yourselves. The other thing that the private sector in Kenya is looking towards is collaborate on green growth. I think we've talked about geothermal here and digital transformation. It's not something we can now wish away. This is what we are living. We're in the tech revolution. We are mitigating climate, and what we are looking towards with the local private sector is to work with you who are here in Europe, who are here in Belgium, on those two areas, on green revolution and in the digital transformation. And then building long-term partnerships and not transactional relationships. And I think those who are already investing in Kenya can attest to that, that those businesses that succeed in Kenya are those that commit for the long haul, that work with local talent, integrate communities, and grow with the market. And finally, with KEPSA and Invest Kenya, we're here to make the introductions that you need. We're here to advise on policy and together invest in Kenya and hold you throughout your investments. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, P.S. Hinga, 1 minute.